Hello, everyone. Hello, guys. Good day. Welcome again back here to my class. We are pretty much getting into the second half of the semester, which we have. I was thinking we would have a chance to come back to the face to face classes, but it turns out that it's not happening now because of the deteriorating state of the COVID-19, unfortunately. But we have to keep doing what we have to do. So we are back here online for this second half of the semester, which I don't know how long this is gonna be, but at least for now we're still here. We will keep being here online. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the face to face before the semester runs out, though. So hopefully that will happen. But regardless of what the situation is, we have to keep going on. So it's exactly what's happening. So as we move into the Christmas season, I hope that you all, keep yourself safe and yeah, pretty much do what you have to do to keep yourself healthy and safe. So we run through this season together. Of course, this is the best season of the year. It's a time where people get together, people make new decisions for the next year and everything. So very critical time of the year. So I wish you all, safety and stay healthy. So back to business. Last week we covered a couple of things which were basically talking about the different different groups of people that engage in distance learning. Basically, we were covering young adult learners versus uh, you know adult learners. So we were covering young learners versus adult learners. So now we have to um, we have to understand that when it comes to adult learners, they tend to be more committed in their distance learning programs. Now, the reason adult learners tend to be more committed is because as adults, their time is already very valuable. They have their family, they have hobbies, they have friends to be with. So before setting aside time from these busy schedules to engage in a distance learning program, it must mean that this is really important to them. So they tend to be more committed into their distance learning programs once they engage. It's different for young learners, though. Young learners don't really seem to be as committed, or at least they need to be pushed into their commitment. So now the question is, why do adult learners tend to be more committed into distance learning programs than young learners? Now, don't get me wrong, young learners can be as committed as well, but it's more likely for adult learners to be more committed than young learners. Now, the reason for this is because of the motive of engaging into distance learning. Now, in most cases, adult learners, as I said, they already have busy schedules. They already have a lot of things on their plate to handle. Could be family, could be their jobs, could be their, extra time activities, leisure activities, and so on. They already have a lot on their plate as adults. Now, to cut time from those activities to engage into re-educating themselves, mostly through a distance learning program, there must be a very strong reason for it. And most often, that reason is the output of it, what they get out of it, what are they going to gain when they, finish this program. So once they have a well-defined output, sorry, once they have a well-defined outcome from the program, that would give them the power they need in order to, foster the commitment. So the outcome of the program should be well defined and very, very convincing, so the adult learner doesn't feel like they are wasting their time. So before engaging in distance learning, most adult learners already research well about what they get out of the program. Once that research is done and completed, and they're convinced that this is what they should do, and then that gives them the energy that pushes the commitment into the program. So adult learners tend to be more committed, and also they tend to, really take the program so seriously, because of course it is clear to them that not taking this seriously would mean delaying my success, and of course it would be delaying my progress. So they want to get put in as the effort and do as much as they can, so that they get out of this program as soon as they can and move on with their normal lives at an improved level. On the other hand, when it comes to young learners tend to be, you know, they well, it is just a normal thing for young learners to find ways to easily give up on things that tend to be a little bit stressful. So young learners would easily get distracted. They would easily want to walk away from any kind of educational things as soon as the opportunity to walk away steps in. So in the previous video, you remember, if you went through that video, I mentioned the fact that young learners need a lot of encouragement from from adults, be it the parents or the guardians or whoever is in charge. They need a lot of support from those older people in order to get through with their distance learning programs. Now, the reason they need more support in distance learning programs is because in a distance learning program, you are not as supervised as you are in a face-to-face classroom program with a teacher in a physical geographical space. When you are in that kind of a situation, they can get the control, the monitoring from their teacher, and that would obviously minimize their distraction levels. In a distance learning situation, though, they are on their own. They study from home. They study at their convenience. So they tend to be easily distracted. So as guardians or as parents or as older people that are taking care of the young learners, be it at home, as parents or as guardians, you need a lot of support and encouragement in order for them to be able to make it through their distance learning program. So in the last video, I had um, talked about ways that you can get your young learners to be more focused into their distance learning program. And one of the ways that I had mentioned was the fact that in setting up their study space for their class, it should be designed in a way that it get rid of all these distractions, such as video games or tablets, board games, or any kind of distractions that would be in that space, in that area that they can easily get access to. That study space should be designed such that these things are gotten rid of. So yeah, it actually should be a confined space whereby the learner is only exposed to the electronical device or whatever device they're using to get their online studies or distance learning going on. So that is part of the ways that young learners can be encouraged into staying focused into their distance learning programs. Well, as adult learners, though, adult learners already know, they know what they want from this. They don't need to be pushed. They just need to. They already know what they need to do. So Well, this is slightly the difference between adult young learners and young learners. But in today's we're gonna be talking more about and by the way, I had told you about this book from about the start of the course. It says teaching and learning at a distance, and you can see the authors right there. This Michael Simonson, Sharon Smaldino, and Susan Bassett. These are the authors of these book. They co-authored the book together, and I have recommended you get this book. And I actually had said that if you wanted to get it through me, I would be happy to help you out. Or if you wanted to get my own copy, I would also be happy to do that for you. So, guys, I hope you got this book, so that facilitates things for both of us. Well, that said, today we are going to be talking about factors influencing learner success. Now, we have to think about how the success of the learner in a distance a learning situation can be influenced. What kind of factors can influence the success of this learner? Now, there are quite a couple of them, but I would start off by saying that a lot of the the success of the learner in a distance learning situation, the most influential factor in it would be the commitment, would be the fact that they how committed they are in the program. And of course, as I explained before, that commitment actually comes naturally when the learner understands absolutely what they get out of the program. It could be a young learner, it could be an adult. Once they understand, without a doubt, what they get from this program, that would automatically influence the level of their success. So once they know how much they stand to gain from graduating from this course, and then they would give them the empowerment, the motivation they needed to carry on with the program. And that is just one of the factors. That's the main factor, actually, but it's not the only factor. This is one of the factors. Now, the other factor would be the availability of the electronic device or the medium or the means of communication through from the course provider, from the distance learning course provider, and the student. Now, that should be a very defining factor when it comes to success. For example, if the learner is in an environment where internet, for example, if they were using the computer, they were using the internet for the distance learning, and they are in an environment where the internet is not very available, or the internet is slow, or they're those things can actually affect learners' success in distance learning. Now, I put a case of developing countries. Most developing countries don't have regular power supply when it comes to electricity. They have power cuts now and then. If someone is pursuing distance learning from these areas, they are more likely to be limited by their success based on these factors that they cannot control, which is power failure caused by general supply of electricity. Now, this is one of the factors that can actually influence learner success in distance learning. Now, another factor that could actually influence learner success is not not coming from the learner or the institution or the power and things, but it could be coming from the program's provider. Now, if the distance learning program was not well designed, or they had flaws in the design, or the program's crashing, the program doesn't work perfectly for the learner to be able to stably connected and be running effectively, and then that will obviously affect or influence the learner's success. So the design of the program should be very easy, very accessible, and easy to navigate through, to get to the lectures, and to get to receiving the information that is being provided to the learner in the distance learning situation. Now, in the next class, I will be focusing on, how a distance learning program should be actually designed so that it accommodates the learners easily and makes it easy for learners to be able to join. And by the way, you already know, I had mentioned in the previous videos as well, that when pursuing distance learning, it doesn't automatically sound like you are cut off from the class, or you are alone. Almost feel like you are alone in this class. No, that is not the situation. Most well-designed distance learning programs would give space for interaction, that you can actually interact with the other students, or with your lecturer. It would give you that space, that it could be through a chat, it could be through a group chat, or through and anyways, they would, if the program is well designed, they would give you that space, that room where you can actually interact with the other students, share opinions, share ideas, and also interact uh, with your lecturer. So well-designed programs will accommodate this kind of things. Whatever the case, the point here was that the design of the program can actually influence the learner's success. So a good distance learning program should be well designed to accommodate the fact that the student doesn't feel frustrated at some point. Now, this is another thing that learners should consider when they want to pick a distance learning program. You don't just go out there and pick any random program as long as you see it is listed as a distance learning program. There are, there are, red flags you should look at when you're looking at a distance learning program presented to you. There are red flags you should look at. This is another topic we're going to cover at some point, but just to hint, if you see a program that is designed, for example, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, and it doesn't create the space where you can actually interact with your lecturer, I mean direct access to the lecturer, ask a direct question and get a direct response from the lecturer, and it doesn't provide a space where you can interact with the other students taking that program to share ideas and opinions. If they don't provide that kind of thing, that already is a red flag for you to back off from that kind of programs. So it is your responsibility, though, to make a choice about which program you are getting into, and it's very obvious. You can actually see it, you can understand it. It's like when you want to go shopping, or if you want to go eat at a restaurant at lunchtime, and there are a lot of people in a particular restaurant, that already tells you that there is a reason why there are too many people there. The food must be good in there. So that's where you should be going as well. And if you see another restaurant basically empty and nobody in there, you should also know that the food here probably has a problem. There's probably something wrong in this. There's a red flag. That same applies with distance learning programs. Once you get in it, you can feel it. You will know it, that this is a program that I should be in it. That this program is well designed, and is accommodating. And if I'm in this program, I would definitely achieve my goal. So, but as I said, that is your responsibility as a learner to identify these red flags so that you don't fall victim of it. And also, there are a lot of distance learning programs and online programs that are actually not real, not real. They're out there just to, you know, well, I don't know how to put it in in educational language. So, uh, well, they're just out there to scam you out of your money. Now, you want to make sure that you actually verify any programs you are engaging in to make sure that the degrees they offer you get accredited. The degrees they offer you get, they are real. They are accepted. You can use it the same way you get a traditional degree from a regular face-to-face setting university. Now, it's your job to make sure you identify all these things, and you also make sure that you are completely sure about the program you're getting into before you engage in it. Otherwise, you might find yourself in the wrong side of the story, because these are the problems that technology come with. Every development comes with another negative side of it. Now, because there's a lot of technological advancement, there's a lot of internet available pretty much everywhere these days. That's the same way there's a lot of crime that's been developed. I'm talking about cyber crime. So, some programs that are actually put out there on the internet to be, distance learning programs and online programs, and then students get enrolled in it. At the end of the day, you might realize it was all junk. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't. It was just another hoax. So you should make sure to verify all these things before you actually get signed up into taking a distance learning program. And it is your responsibility actually to do that, because no one else will do it for you. If you are having a young learner at home, it is your responsibility to make sure you verify your young learner's program, authenticate it before you actually, enroll your young learner into it. In that way, you minimize whatever negative outcomes that you can get from it. So coming back to the point, the design of the class, the design of the online program can actually influence the success of it. Now, moving on to factors that can influence learner success. Now, one of the factors that can also influence learner success in the case of distance learning is the fact that you as a learner should be willing to 100% do the tasks that are required. Now, most often, most often learners tend to, um, tend to think that because I am talking to my, I'm dealing with my computer, I'm dealing with my cell phone or whatever, I can just get away with some things. I can get away with them without, So they tend to actually downplay the fact that it is that is this an educational program that needs to be taken as seriously as any other program. They kind of play down on that, and then they become lousy. They become lousy. They don't really take their assignments, the projects, and what is being required of them seriously. So that actually influence learner success too much, because once the learner knows that they can actually no one is right there to yell at you or to tell you like this is wrong, you shouldn't do this right now, and correct it right away, they tend to be able to accumulate lousiness and mistakes and laziness put together, and then eventually they that would actually work negatively on their success in the program. So how do they get out of this is to take the distance learning program as seriously as they would take any other program they were taking in a face-to-face situation. Once they do that, then their learner success would be much more increased. So summarily, the same things that would apply in a traditional face-to-face class in terms of learner success would apply similarly in a distance learning program. The only thing that becomes a problem is when the learner at a distance learning program feels like they have more freedom, they have more, they can be more lousy if, because they are right there on their own, face to face, and that's where the problem really is. But regardless of what it is, I have always stood by the opinion of saying that distance learning will actually become mainstream learning in the future, and it would actually be more, you know, more productive. And the fact that you have every information right there on your fingertips, everything is right there covered, every information you need would be right there on your computer or on whatever device you're using for your distance learning, and you can access a lot of information really fast. So that's actually so good for your education. And in the future, um, as we keep going with the COVID, and as people, more and more people keep getting enrolled into distance learning programs, eventually this might replace traditional educational methods, and we would move on to the next phase of learning. So guys, unfortunately we're out of time for this segment of the video, and I'll sign off here, but then I'll see you around in the next video. All right, have a great weekend guys, and see you next week.